and bleep you out or something like that, we can have.
If you want to re-ask it too, if I stumble a lot,
That was a horrible answer, Mike. Answer it
we could do it
again.
that way too.
This time, answer it better. No. I know you guys had an opportunity. I didn't even actually know you guys were going out there until you made an announcement that y'all were going. I was super excited to hear that you, and in particular Grant, got to go and participate in something like that. So yeah, you and I had a few conversations already around some of the things that you had learned. So that kind of did influence some of the questions I want to ask.
I like the questions that I'm seeing. It's funny because I've been like trying to go back this week through some of them, and I'm like only just now getting to some of the actual content. I'm finally seeing that people are like sharing their decks and stuff and trying to recreate some of the things, because I did not do a good job of taking screenshots of everything that people were doing. So I was more just absorbing it.
I'm exactly the same way. I do not. It's one of the reasons why I liked like when they started having recordings and transcripts and stuff like that for teams, because it allowed me to stay in the conversation. I wasn't really so concerned about having to remember everything for later so I could go and report back. I wish they had ddone that at the conference that Tommy and I went to. I guess they wanted to play on the FOMO aspect of it. You were there and you got it, or you weren't there and you didn't. So a little bit more of an impetus to those and stuff. But yeah, I think when you're there, you want to kind of get in the moment and let things kind of wash over you and enjoy the experience. It should be fun.
Yeah.
And it's in Vegas, so how can you not have fun?
That's right. Yeah, so, that definitely helped.
Yeah, and Microsoft, if it was anything like the time I went to Ignite, they're not afraid of plying you with alcohol. So I did not, this might make the blooper reel, the time that I went, I was not prepared for, they were giving away free beer. And so I just assumed it was going to be like weak stuff, and I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to what I was drinking. And I was drinking like 9% IPAs the first night there. And Pete Skelly and I were trying to like network with people. And I was a character.
Well, I have one embarrassing story that came out of our trip there, as I tend to always have at least one. So on Wednesday night, Microsoft did throw a late night event.
Right.
And that's where they had the free alcohol. It was only 2 drinks, but we had already, so that was the night we went to the Sphere. So we went to the Sphere first, and then went straight to this Microsoft thing, and we hadn't eaten anything for quite a while, and then dove right in to drinks, and then they did have some food there too. So we're like, we grab a plate of food, we grab our drinks, and they've got a band, like a live band playing, and it's this band called X Ambassadors. I've never heard of them, but clearly a lot of the younger people had heard of them, that were there. It is like a band that people know. Anyway, it was good music. It was like kind of like Southern rock or something like that.
Gotcha.
We get our drinks, we have our food, and we set up shop at what is essentially like one of those enclosed garbage bins, like that has an edge kind of thing. We're just trying to find a spot to like lean.
Okay.
And there's just a crowd everywhere. So we're just standing there. I'm like scarfing down what food I can and then drinking my drinks. And I get like halfway through the food. I'm like, all right, this is good enough. And so I toss the plate into the bin, and then I realize I'm getting weird looks from everyone. And I look down, and it's not a garbage bin. It's the towel. This all at a pool. It's the towel bin that just thrown like barbecue sauce, like barbecue chicken on all the towels. So yeah,
I'll see myself out, please.
Here we go. I was like, this is not a garbage can.
Yeah, so you just gave people something to laugh at for a little while. That's all. That's awesome. All right. Yeah, I guess let's just start with the basics. What brought you to the Microsoft Community Conference? Was there something specific that you were hoping to get out of it? Something that you'd seen that made you want to go?
That's a good question. Honestly, it was random. I really enjoy doing conferences, and it had been quite a while since I'd been to one. And when my yearly review came up, it became a thing that I was harping on, like kind of thing. Tommy and Kirk, they worked with me to find something, and I had some choices like thrown out on the year. And this one was not on my radar. Obviously, the more likely ones would have been Build or Ignite or a developer. What caught my eye was when I actually dove into this one, it helped that it was in Vegas. So that was like a little notch in its cap. But when I looked at all the sessions and I saw how much was Copilot, and I knew how much our organization is moving to really try to leverage it and try to help other clients with it. It just felt like a really good fit. I'd never been to a Microsoft community conference. I didn't know, to be honest, I don't 100% know for sure if Microsoft hosts this one, but it certainly seemed that way. But the thing that I got out of it for sure is it's a hyper focused on showing support and love for this kind of organic community that has formed around all the Microsoft 365 products. So they obviously had an ultra focus on Copilot this year, but it was Copilot in relationship to all of these other 365 products, and then helping to really support the community around it. So it was very cool. I didn't know that there were Microsoft community conferences, but yeah, it actually might be something that I keep looking out for just because of the type of folks that it's targeting, kind of thing.
You mentioned you like conferences. Is this your first Microsoft conference or Microsoft-esque conference?
Oh, I think it's my like 5th or 6th or something.
How does this one compare to things like Ignite?
So I'm trying to think if I've been to Build or Ignite. I've only been to one of them, I'm pretty sure. It's this, in times past when I've been to Build or Ignite, you can feel that it's very developer centric, and there's a lot of sessions that are very code heavy. This was not that, but when I think about what we do more and more of here at 3Will, this was a better fit. This conference targeted kind of the thinking side and the planning side of stuff more. You still had to understand where the development comes in. It was less on here's the exact thing to write and more on the high level and how to put it all together, which I think is actually a better sweet spot even for someone like me, because I really need to be able to visualize the whole solution. And this is more targeting kind of the managers of teams and the administrators of whole environments and the people that have to kind of like actually put it all together and plan it all out. So I really liked that that's what it was targeting. Whereas like Build or Ignite is very much in the weeds of specific new advancements development wise, where this was really about where the whole technology landscape's going for the year and how we're going to help you get there, kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember it's been a while since I went to Ignite. I think even at that point, I was starting to transition away from being a hardcore developer and starting to move more into my role as a principal developer and kind of thinking about that.
Yeah.
I remember going anyway, and every talk I went to, they were talking about Docker containers. And I was like,
Right.
oh, what the hell's a Docker container? And I'm
Right.
guessing you probably didn't hear a whole lot of that sort of talk at an event like this. So I'm personally trying to pay more attention and get more interested in the way that the business side of an organization is thinking about technology and what they're seeing in it and what sort of value they're trying to get out of it. As far as the attendees and the sessions go, was there anything in there that you learned that kind of surprised you? Oh, I've never thought about this technology from that light.
So I think the biggest thing is this idea of starting to, and I know Microsoft really wanted to push hard on this, and it definitely broke through for me. I'll say it from the perspective of so Grant and I, when we went out there, we were talking ahead of time before even the first keynote, and how we knew going into this how much it was going to be about Copilot, because the sessions had already been out, and that was by far the majority of the sessions had some kind of AI, either just AI in the word or Copilot in the title kind of thing. So we knew that it was going to be a lot of that. So we went in discussing, what are your thoughts on where Copilot is? And I think we were feeling like it hadn't hit that level of maturity around truly feeling autonomous, and and our sense was that if you really wanted that, the challenge that we know, for instance, with our Copilot enablement offering and our experience so far with customers using Copilot, or even just ourselves using Copilot, is so much of it is towards just trying to move the dial on people going out of their way to use it. To some degree, Copilot is only as good as people using it when you first install it. And this was the idea that we were talking about, is if the agents aren't doing anything when you're not prompting them, then you're not getting as much out of them. And the way
Example?
Microsoft, they opened my eyes to the fact that is actually far more possible than I realized. I think even in the products as they exist today, in the way of kind of triggers that an agent can respond to. Like I did not understand just to what degree that triggering existed already. But then I'll take it a step further, which is every keynote hit on this a lot. What I would just call very crudely like these autonomous triggered agents, what they really started to get you to wrap your mind around was this idea of an agent essentially filling the role that a human might have filled in a lot more ways than just doing one task. I think to some degree, you know, it changes your way of thinking of, can I craft an agent such that I could give it enough, I could put enough meat on those bones so that it felt like it was doing regularly tasks every day that might even change every day, and it's fulfilling its roles and responsibilities. And I think that's where this is going. It's like we're in the beginning of that, but this idea of if you start filling this agent with more descriptive text of who it is and what it is supposed to be doing, and then you keep filling it with triggers and actions and topics that are relevant to those things that you've described, you're building up this whole corpus of abilities for it so that it could start to become on the far end of what Microsoft was really pushing, which is these almost human-led agent teams, where I'm now at Three Will employing 4 other agents that are doing a whole bunch of things that maybe I used to do. And I'm more just managing what they do to some degree. And it's a fascinating concept.
Interesting. Yeah, you'd mentioned the other day at lunch about, I forget who it was, but they had talked about actually like adding AI agents into your org chart, right?
Yeah.
So you gave talking about some examples and some ideas, some concepts. Were there any really good examples like that? What something like adding an agent to your org chart, how does that change an organization? And HR or marketing, I don't want a marketing agent yet. Did they give it any really good concrete examples of that help sell that concept or send it home for you?
So my favorite, I'll say that my favorite basic example that they immediately led with, and Grant might be able to shed more light when you talk to him because he went to the session that discussed it. But in the very first keynote, they showed off what's called the project manager agent for planner. And I had no idea that, and I'm pretty sure this exists even now, or maybe it's in preview, but it's as simple as this idea. And this is what we haven't done a whole lot of this yet. This idea of you make an agent. So I've made some agents, and we've all, I think here at Three Will, we've played around with having agents embedded inside of SharePoint. But even those agents, those are agents that when you yourself will go out to SharePoint, you then have to know to pull up the little Copilot bar and access that agent to have it do something. This is what they wanted to start getting you to wrap your mind around is, like in the example of this project manager agent, for instance, you are a project manager, or you've got a product release or something, and you're running it through a planner board, and you've got all these milestones. You now start to include that agent on your team. You invite that agent into your team. It is now a member of the team. It could participate in channel conversations if need be. And then you go to your planner board and you just start assigning tasks to this agent. And the idea is that the agent just keeps you apprised of its progress, like proactively lets you know, oh, I'm done with that task. Hey, I'm having issues with that task. Hey, can you clarify what I need to do to get this task done? And through that, you start to find your edges of what else do I need to give to the agent so that next time I give it things like this, it'll just get it done. And I think that's really fascinating. It's this idea of me as a human starting to think of the agent as an actual individual with capabilities as part of the team. And instead of this, where I always have to be the one to instigate things, it's more putting out things that need to be done and then letting them actually come back and give me updates instead of just this kind of one way, that it starts to become more two-way, might be the way I put it.
That's wild. Yeah, one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, what was there anything that felt especially relevant to three wheel? And I think you just, for at least for me, I think you just answered that question, because this three wheel way idea that we're trying to help our clients with, of helping them understand that, hey, you have certain things that happen inside of your organization that result in the outcomes you're after. We call them core processes, term that I'm borrowing from EOS, of course. But you have these things like marketing, sales, your operations, customer service, whatever the case may be, that really dictate how successful your business is going to be. And if you want to scale or sell, you need to be able to make sure that those outcomes are repeatable and
Right.
predictable. And we're software engineers at heart. And when you hear repeatable, predictable, it's a process. And so we want to go in and understand at a high level, at a human level, what those processes are, and then start trying to take some of the things that we've just naturally gotten good at over decades of development, of taking the work that humans do and charting it out into something that we can translate into software applications. And now, like,